Hello and good morning. I really hope that today we do better than last time. I want to apologize for those of you who were negatively affected by the fact that I had to pull this class out of nowhere on that Monday because the government only announced that we were going to have online classes. It was just like that, and we had to do it for that Monday. I didn't have my book here with me. I didn't have the computer from the school here with me. I didn't have access to Canvas or anything. But this is what I'm apologizing for. But some of you were spamming the chat. We're being extremely disruptive. I can take a joke here and there if you type a funny sentence in chat. I can take that. But some people were spamming the chat. And that was not cool. It made it really difficult. I posted some links where the sentences for that class would be, and I got a complaint from one of the students who couldn't find the sentences. Not one, I think a couple of you couldn't find the sentences because they couldn't access the link. So today I have a secret moderator here with me who is one of the supervisors and pedagogical directors from Selbu. Welcome, by the way. And he or she, you don't know who that is going to be taking notes for me and will be banning and blocking people from chatting if they disrupt today. Because I can't do two things. I can't be paying attention to what's going on with what you're typing to me that's actually relevant, and what you're typing to me that's completely not. Anyway, let's try to have a good time. We're only going to have a few minutes of this, and then we're going to go straight into a video conference. This is not going to be a long YouTube presentation today. Please get your books. If you don't have your books, I will be putting the pages in there for you. If you don't have your books. But if you do have your books, then you won't need the pages, will you? Today the topic is challenges. This is what you're going to be looking at, this page. I want you to look at this page. And I want you to find something on this picture that gives you an idea of challenge, something difficult. First of all, what does the word challenge mean? Please type the word in our region if you can't explain what it means. Just type it in our region in the chat real quick. What does challenge mean? Those of you who typed utfordring, that is correct. So challenges. What kind of challenges do you see on this picture? What kind of challenges do you see on this picture? Anybody? I'll accept any ideas because this is about interpretation. Okay, so for example, the polar bear. You see the polar bear on top of a block of ice. What does that symbolize? What kind of challenges does a polar bear, isolated like that, what kind of challenges does that animal face? Some of you may say global warming. So what's going to happen to the polar bear because of global warming? Please type in a chat box what you think about this. The ice will melt, right? And the polar bear will not have the ice that it needs. That's a challenge. Now I want you to look at the family. There is a family at the bottom of the page. What kind of challenges does that family face? I have actually taught this class just a few days ago, and some people talked about maybe them being homeless. It's possible that they don't have a place to live. That's why they're walking around carrying all of their belongings. And they have a child with them, maybe two. Perhaps what the woman is carrying is actually a baby. So it could be that on top of not having a place to live, that they also have to raise a little baby in under those horrible circumstances. Being homeless is a challenge, isn't it? What kind of challenges does a homeless person face in life? Please type what you think. Yes, they might be facing difficulties because they're hungry, they don't have a place to sleep. What else? You don't have a place to sleep, you don't have a place to eat, they don't have food, they don't have something to drink, they might be cold if they're outside, or too hot, depending on where in the world they live. So there are lots of challenges for a homeless person. I want you to look at a symbol that's at the very bottom of the page. There is a symbol. What is that symbol for? And I want you to talk about the challenges that relate to that symbol. Those of you who said recycling, you are correct. Can somebody tell me about recycling? What is recycling? And what kind of challenges do we face regarding recycling? Some people don't put the recycling elements where they're supposed to go. That can be one. Isn't that right? That can easily be one. Another challenge with recycling. When people don't recycle and they flood the rivers and bodies of water with plastic, with metal and things that cannot be processed naturally. What happens with the animals, the sea life, for example, when people throw stuff in the ocean? Some of them can swallow the plastic. That is true. There are lots of different things you can talk about just by looking at the picture, but when it comes to recycling, I want you to think about the challenges related to that. You can use your imagination because this is a picture. So you can look at this picture and think of different types of challenges. I first looked at this picture and I had an idea, but maybe Dennis and Eric are going to have a different idea. Maybe Magnus Cole will have a different idea. Magnus B will think, I don't care about this. I just want people to follow my YouTube channel. Don't you dare putting your YouTube channel in there. I will get you followers. I will promote your channel on my channel. Say, hey, follow this guy. This guy has a good channel, but don't spam it in the chat right now. Let's talk about the challenges. The sports guys. What kind of challenges does a sports person face in sports? Some of you play sports. What kind of sports do you play? And what kind of challenges do you face? Losing. Is losing a challenge? It all depends on how you see it. Some people can lose a game and they will be like, okay, I lost today, but next time I'll win. But some people are sore losers. Type in the chat box what a sore loser means. What is the concept of a sore loser? Somebody that doesn't know how to lose, somebody that gets extremely angry when they lose and they have a very negative reaction. So that can be a challenge not only for that person, but for the people who are in the same game with them, for example, in the same team. Wouldn't it be a challenge for them as well? So I'm talking about sports because if you look at the very top of the page, there's a guy going like this, and he has a jersey with a number on the back, so I'm guessing he plays some type of a sport, right? Now, here we have a man with a tray or a plate of some sort in his hand. What does he do for a living? And what kind of challenges does he face in life, if any? If you can think of any challenges that he faces. Somebody said he's a waiter. Right. Remember when we talked about this months ago? A waiter versus a waitress. What is the difference? Please type in the chat box. Exactly. So a waiter is a male server and a waitress is a female server. Nowadays, however, there is a trend in I want to say in being politically correct, but it's not only about being politically correct, it's out of respect for people. Nowadays, you don't want gender-based terms anymore. So the word server is actually a better word because it doesn't say if it's a man or a woman, if it's a transgender woman, if it's a biological woman or not, if it's I don't want to go too much into this because it's not the topic at hand, but just between, if you have these three options, waiter, waitress, or server, server is the best one because you don't run the risk of insulting anybody. So what kind of challenges does he face? Type in the chat box all your ideas about this, but I can give you some ideas about what it could be. People don't pay him a lot. Maybe they don't tip him. What's a tip? To give a waiter a tip, to give a waitress or a server a tip. What does that mean? Type in the chat box what you think it is. A tip is some extra money. You pay the bill at a restaurant, but you also give the waiter, the waitress, or server, you give him or her, or they, a tip. You give them some extra money. In some countries, it's 10% of the whole bill. So if you spend $100 at a restaurant, how much should you tip? I'm terrible at mathematics. I really am. So you tell me, what is 10% of 100? So 10%. In some countries, the tip is 25%. What is the average tip here in Norway? Do you ever tip when you go to a restaurant? It depends, right? It really depends. Now I'd like you to look at the other page. I'll show you what the page looks like. This is the page. Challenges. I'd like you to look at that page, at the very top of that page. At the very top of the page, if you look at the top of the page, there is the word challenges. There is number 3. And right next to number 3, there is some text in there. Do you see it? The text says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Martin Luther King Jr. Does anybody know who Martin Luther King Jr. is? Please type in the chat box. He was a very important historical figure in the history of the United States for the civil rights movement. I know that nowadays when you talk about civil rights movements, when you talk about Black Lives Matter, there's a lot of negativity associated with that because of some of the protests that are not very peaceful, where people are looting and rioting and all of that. But if you set that aside and you think about a peaceful protest where people just want everybody to get along and everybody to be happy and everybody to be equal. Does anybody know, or have you ever heard of the speech that Martin Luther King gave many years ago called "I Have a Dream"? Some junior high books actually carry that speech and have the kids study that. So maybe some of you have heard about "I Have a Dream." And Martin Luther King's dream was for everybody to get along and be happy together, for there not to be racism in the world anymore. And that's something that I feel very passionate about. I feel like sometimes I face challenges because I am a Black woman from a different country. And sometimes here in Norway, I don't get the same amount of respect. I don't get the same amount of, I'm going to go with respect, because people are like, oh, why isn't a Norwegian doing that job? Why isn't a white Norwegian person doing that? And I'm not saying that everybody's like that, but there is racism all over the world, and this has got to stop. It has to stop, because everybody should have a chance. If they're competent and they have the expertise, they should be allowed to do their job. Take this as you will and think about it for a moment. We're going to finish discussing this in our video conference. I do not want this lecture here on YouTube to be too long because I want us to have some time to do at least a couple of rounds of Quizlet Live. And I also want some time for you to do some writing. I would like for you to do that. I know that people have already said, I think Nicholas and Håkon, maybe Andreas, Rutvold, and who else was there? Odne. Maybe you came and stopped by last Tuesday, and I think Nicholas, as usual, was saying, no, 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 no. And he said he didn't want to do the writing. So we'll have to figure this out and see what we're going to do. You have to write something. I promise you, I'm not going to assign a long essay today. How about that? You just write a little bit. You don't have to write a lot, just a little bit. On Canvas, you will find the instructions for what you are supposed to do. I'm going to explain it on here. You're going to take that picture and you're going to write about, you're going to choose 1 or 2 or 3. If you want to write about one type of challenge that's in this picture, and then you can describe it, you can write 1 paragraph. How about that? Not an essay, which is 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, but 1 paragraph. Doesn't have to be long. 1 paragraph about the challenges. They're pictured here on page 113. I'm going to explain this in Norwegian because some people have asked me to do it. They have personally reached out to me on an email and asked me, please explain some of this stuff in Norwegian. Not naming names. Dere skal ta bilde på side 113. Dere skal velge en av disse situasjonene her, og dere skal skrive et avsnitt om det. Dere skal skrive for eksempel, dere kan snakke litt om recycling. Dere kan skrive litt om isbjørn, og hva det som utfordring for isbjørn akkurat nå, med det som skjer med klima i verden. Dere kan også snakke om familier som har en utfordring fordi de ikke har et sted å bo. Så dere skal velge en situasjon her, og dere skal skrive et avsnitt. Et avsnitt på engelsk skal ha minst 10 setninger, mellom 10 og 12 setninger, i sammenheng. Dere skal ikke bare skrive 10 setninger, men dere skal skrive et avsnitt om utfordringer i verden, og dere skal bruke bildet som utgangspunkt. Alright, so you're going to write a paragraph, and you're going to talk about challenges. Which challenges are presented in this picture? You can write about 1 challenge, or you can write about 3 challenges that you see in the picture. As long as you write 1 paragraph, and as long as this paragraph has all the elements that's supposed to have. A paragraph in English is supposed to have between 10 and 12 sentences. The sentences have to be connected and cohesive. It's not just like loose sentences, but everything has to be combined together so that it makes sense. Please get your phones. We're going to do 1 round of Quizlet Live. Just a 1 round today because we're going to have a video conference. No, I don't want a video conference. It's just a short video conference. It will only be some minutes. And you're going to get a link to that video conference sent to you to our group chat on Facebook. Those of you who don't have it, I'm also going to post it on Canvas. So we're just going to do one round of Quizlet Live. Then we go on to our video conference, and then you have some time to write your paragraph about challenges. As soon as you get the code, we're going to do individuals just to make sure it goes faster. We're going to start as soon as everybody's in there. Okay, so now we're going to be on a video conference. You don't have to be on video, but I would prefer to see you on video. So extra kudos for everybody that actually goes on video, because I need to, well, you don't really need to be on video, but let me just put it this way. I would prefer for people to be on video so we can all see each other, so we can have a more, like a better sense of being in a classroom together. But I'm not going to force anybody to be on video. I am going to have you be on the microphone because I need you to speak. We're going to do a discussion. So I'm going to need you to have your microphones on from time to time. Do not disrupt that video conference. Your participation is really important. So I'll see you on that link. The link to the video conference should be in the chat box right now and in our group chat. The video conference will not be very long because you also need time to sit down and do your paragraph. Some of you did not hand in the sentences the last time. Those of you who did, excellent work, because it was tough. It was difficult for people to find the sentences and all. Anyway, follow the link to our video conference. I'll see you in there.